There's a short list of players who could be known as the best player in the 2025 NFL Draft. You've got Ashton Jinty going to the Raiders. You've got Travis Hunter going to the Jaguars. And this guy right here, Abdul Carter, going number 3 overall to the New York Giants. We've got Dalton Wasserman here to break it all down. Dalton, this guy started off as a linebacker at Penn State, but he moved to edge rusher full-time this past year, and a lot of similarities to a former Penn State great, now an NFL great, in Micah Parsons.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the fun part of it is, and even when you think about the Giants and now how deep their defensive line is, now you think about, okay, they've got Brian Burns, they've got Kayvon Thibodeau off the edge, you've got Dexter Lawrence inside, but having Carter and his versatility, much like Micah Parsons does for the Cowboys, right, and similar players, number 11 at Penn State, it really brings a big strategic advantage, I think, to your pass rush, right? And so people worried about, they have too many mouths to feed on the defensive line. Not the case at all. Carter actually makes everybody else's life around him easier. And I think what we're going to talk about here is the different alignments, right? When you talk about Parsons, not only do you talk about ability, but you talk about versatility. We're going to talk about the same thing with Carter. So he's going to Shane Bowen's defense. We'll start out with him in a 3-point stance at defensive end. Now you look at his career at Penn State, pretty darn good as a down defensive end. 90.4 pass rush grade, 19.6% pressure rate, 24% pass rush win rate is just spectacular. Anytime you're over 20, you're getting in the elite range. He's way up there at 24 across a 3-year stretch, and that's just playing defensive end, right? So even though maybe you think about, okay, he's not 270 like a Myles Garrett or somebody like that, he's closer to 250, he's still an elite player at this position first. So we're going to start here because this is most often how Shane Bowen is like to go about his defense. He's down, classic 4-man front defensive ends, right? So now here, this is against Ohio State this year, a game you and I were actually at.
Right, see us over here in the top
we were up there in the end zone watching. We had a pretty good angle on it, and look, Abdul Carter, even though Penn State didn't come away with the win, Abdul Carter had a spectacular game. Now, this is very simple. Down defensive end, you've got 4 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker walked up. We've really got 5-on-5 when you're looking at this pass rush situation. And the big thing is you've got Travion Henderson, one of the best pass protecting backs in college football last year, away from Abdul Carter in the formation. When you look at Carter, you're looking at a guy who now, apologies for that, I'm still figuring out this darn screen here, who, look, you're looking at him right here, out wide by himself, wide 9. And who's this filling in at left tackle? That's a first-round pick, Donovan Jackson. So even against first-round caliber players, you're talking about you really like it one-on-one. Because another key part of this, when you're talking about this linebacker is actually going to drop off into coverage, he's just showing the threat here. But the big thing I want you to see is in here the nose guard occupying the center. So with Henderson away and he's not able to chip Carter on this side, and with the center occupied with this nose, he has to slide this way. So you're guaranteeing yourself here and out here, one-on-one matchups on this left side of the offense here, right? And even against a first-round pick, anytime you can create, whether it's with a blitz or not, for a player as good as Abdul Carter, you're talking about, okay, that's what we want.
Well, real quick, you can even see Henderson's eyes. Even when he's not chipping in on Carter, he's looking at Carter.
He's worried about it.
Yeah.
He's certainly worried about it. He's like, should I really be on this side? Should I really be running a swing to the opposite side? Why is he worried about it? Because Will Howard's just getting to the back foot of his drop, and you've already got Carter dipping his shoulder, getting underneath a first-round pick there at left tackle, and Donovan Jackson, he'll move inside for sure. You know what Donovan Jackson's pass blocking grade in this game was? A 0. A flat 0 because he was matched up one-on-one with Abdul Carter way too often. I'm not even exaggerating. It was rock bottom 0. First start at left tackle, tough matchup. And of course, if you're Will Howard, you don't feel great because that's the result of it right there when you're barely into your drop. So first things first, when you talk about Abdul Carter as a 3-point defensive end, you get him in a one-on-one matchup, you've obviously got an ideal scenario.
I know there's a lot of Giants fans right now who are looking at this edge room and saying, okay, well, who's playing for them, right? Because you got Brian Burns, who they traded for from the Carolina Panthers. You got Kayvon Thibodeau, who was a top 5 pick as well in a couple years ago. Now you have Abdul Carter, right, who's a top 5 pick in this year's draft. But Dalton, you still think with those 3 guys, you can still fit them on the field, maybe like a NASCAR type of package.
So the second element of it with Carter, just like Parsons, is the fact that, look, he can stand up. He can stand up and play outside linebacker in a 2-point stance, be a little more versatile, have his eyes up. You can put him in whatever technique you want. Let's look at his career as an outside linebacker. 90 pass rush grade, elite stuff. 17.5% pressure rate, still pretty darn good. I mentioned 20% pass rush win rate's good. We're at 21 here. So even if he stands up off the edge, we have no issue. And the biggest thing that versatility brings is the ability to have all those guys on the field. They call it the NASCAR package. When you get in those obvious passing situations, those 3rd and long, doesn't matter if Thibodeau and Burns and everybody's there. Just put them all on the field, right? So here's what you have. You have Abdul Carter way out here against future NFL tackle. He's with the Eagles now. Holland Pierce, big 360-pound Holland Pierce. But here's what I want you to notice, okay? Inside here, these are some defensive tackles, but you're talking about this right here. This is Chop Robinson. This is an edge defender who's moved inside. Miami Dolphins went 21st overall. Last year, Miami Dolphins had a great rookie season. That's Chop Robinson. This is Adisa Isaac, third-round pick for the Baltimore Ravens. Believe this is Zane Durant, who could be a future first-round defensive tackle, one of the best pass rushers in the country. Kobe King, the linebacker, is going to blitz in here also. He got drafted. He's in the NFL now, too. So when you talk about, okay, if you have a litany of talent and a bunch of pass rushers that can get it done, just like the Giants need to this year, just put them all out there. It doesn't make, you don't have to replace them and go, oh, it's Thibodeau or Burns, because obviously if they can do it at Penn State, they should be able to do it right down the street with the New York Giants, right? So you've got first round pick here, first round pick there, third rounder here. I think it was, fifth or sixth rounder here. You got a future day 1 or 2 pick. They're all over the place, right? And I think even this one is an undrafted free agent in Tampa Bay. They're all over the place, right? You just put your best pass rushers on the field. You let it happen with this NASCAR package. Similar things happen to what we saw in the first play. We're getting a stunt going here with Robinson, which is a freak. Look, it's hard enough to defend him when he's in there, and he was a first-round pick. Now we're stunting him. We're sending these two this way, and what that all creates still is just one-on-one. I've got a tackle, and even if he's a good one, out here trying.
I like Holland Pierce.
And I know you love him. You love Holland Pierce, big 340, 350-pounder, but even a guy as good as that, again, same lesson. If you have Abdul Carter in a one-on-one situation, before we didn't blitz, we only sent 4 and found a way. This time we're blitzing. You got him. You can already see him dipping under. Quarterback's rush, throws the ball away, incomplete pass. That early pressure, we don't get a sack here, but you can see Kobe King in here also gets home on the stunt. Easy work, but again, creating one-on-one matchups for Abdul Carter on the edge can be done with or without the blitz.
And Dalton, he moved to edge rusher in his junior year and was the best edge rusher in college football last year, which is why he's the number 3 overall pick. But he wasn't an edge rusher in his first 2 years at Penn State, a lot like Micah Parsons. Spent his first 2 years at linebacker for the Nittany Lions, and still, even at a position at linebacker, was one of the best linebackers in college football.
This is the fun part. This is the part where you go, okay, there's great edge players, and then this is where you get the Micah Parsons comp, because we've seen Parsons do it throughout his career, lining up over the center, in the A gaps, in the B gaps, wherever. So when we're talking about inside linebackers standing up between the tackles now, attacking those A gaps and B gaps, between the center and the guard in the A, between the guard and the tackle in the B. It's very, very simple. You can put him anywhere you want to, up on 2 feet. Again, from an inside linebacker spot during his career at Penn State, 86.5 pass rush grade, spectacular. 24.7% pressure rate. So Penn State was also using him on blitzes to get him through and get free shots, and he's athletic enough and bendy enough to stunt around. And then a 19% pass rush win rate from the inside. Spectacular stuff. So again, elite numbers. Let's take a look at why. Here's one. This is very, very simple. Again, this is 2023 bowl game against Ole Miss. You were here for this one too.
Yep.
Boatload of talent on the field. Here's Isaac. Here's Zane Durant. There's Deni Dennis Sutton. Penn State's got so many of them.
Could be a first-round pick next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's what you have here. Carter's coming. Here's Abdul Carter right here coming in at linebacker. He was still full-time linebacker in 2023. Simple enough. One going here, guard coming in this way. Tackle's going to take Dennis Sutton out here. He's got free reign through the B gap. You know who this is right here at tailback?
Quinshon Judkins.
Quinshon Judkins. And look, Quinshon Judkins, really good back, early second-round pick, Cleveland Browns, great player. Unfortunately, same result. If you're one-on-one with Abdul Carter, whether he's off the edge or whether he's in here, you're going to have a problem. Quinshon's the last guy to try to pick him up. And when the result is that you wind up sitting down, it's not great. Plus, Dennis Sutton's winning off the edge. Plus, we got another one winning in here. This isn't a Penn State video, but I'm sure you're loving it. But that's the idea. Blows up Quinshon, blows up Jackson Dart. This ball was thrown down that left hash there, and it was about a blade of grass from being an interception. That's what you're talking about. So if you put him one-on-one with a running back as a blitzer through the B gap, not going to go so well for you. This is actually my favorite one. We're going to do 2 more here. This is my favorite one here. Because what you have also, when you have great pass rushers, right? T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, they make players around them better, right? Mm-hmm. They make everybody around them better. So now this is 2024 against Illinois. And what we're going to have here, we're going to get 2 stunts going in here. We're going to get one where these 2 are crossing, and this actually gets picked up pretty well by Illinois, 2-on-2 there. We're going to get a similar element here. Abdul Carter, he's lined up in the B gap. He's going to penetrate into the A gap. Jalen Reed here, NFL safety also, Houston Texans. he's going to come blitzing behind Carter, right? And what happens here is that the idea is, okay, the exchange, what should happen is straight up. The guard should come inside, take on Carter. Not easy for any guard in the country. And then the back should pick up Reed. The problem is Abdul Carter's so good. This has been the theme. You get him one-on-one in any situation, he's going to win the battle. Here we go with the next clip. He's starting to win the battle against the guard. And what you can see here is the back. He wants to come out here and pick up Reed, but he just can't do it. In an emergency situation like this, you have to take the first threat. So what happens is the guard's beat. He's hanging on for dear life. The back actually has to switch into Carter just to protect the inside gap, okay? What happens then? Reed comes through on the stunt. Nobody's blocking him. And Abdul Carter may not have gotten the sack or even the pressure here, but the fact that he occupied both blockers, look at them both in here, Luke Altmaier's got to step up. We got a free sack. So Carter doesn't get the sack on his record, but he created it for somebody else because he's got that threat, because you've got the back that knows, hey, I just can't let this guy get a free shot, right? Turns out somebody else gets a free shot. That's what great pass rushers do for everybody else on a defensive line. So even if you want to blitz in behind them, great stuff. I hate to torture Illinois fans here, but we're going to get one more going. Now, same look, okay? Same exact look. Here's Carter in the B gap. Nobody behind them blitzing, but you're going to get all sorts of simulated. You get this flat look, all sorts of simulated pressure. So you're actually going to get one dropping off that way, and you're going to get your guy, another draft pick, Kevin Winston blitzing. We're going to get a full overload on this side. And if you're Altmaier, you're real annoyed here because you feel like, okay, it's single high. You're going to get this safety dropping out, and there's going to be this big old void of space where we're going to have an in-cut coming from this way, right? They're blitzing. We read it right. We think we read it right. Here's the thing, though. Carter, former linebacker, athletic enough to drop. He's not even going here. He's going to drop right into this hole right here. And the problem is going to be you just expect him to come because he's so good. Let's show it again right here. Altmaier thinks, okay, and there's pressure coming from this right side. He thinks I'm going to get this in cut right here. And what quarterbacks do when you have these simulated pressures like this, Aaron Rodgers threw 2 pick sixes like this last year against Minnesota and Seattle, is you think, okay, he's up, he's coming. In the first place a quarterback looks is the safety. Even though, you know, on here it might look like, okay, how does he not see him? He's right in front of him. I'm telling you, he never sees him. He's looking at the safeties, and then he's getting out to the secondary. Never sees him. And especially with it being Abdul Carter and you're expecting him to go, he never, ever sees him. Result, Carter's athletic enough to drop back, catch the football, force a turnover, interception. When you have a guy that can align anywhere that you want, and he's an elite threat as a pass rusher from anywhere that you want, these are the possibilities. Because, look, this happens all the time. I've seen Aiden Hutchinson do it. I've seen T.J. Watt do it. The great players can still drop back and do this. And Carter's ability to play on 2 feet or in a 3-point stance like we showed earlier, that's what makes him an elite player, not just the ability but the versatility.
What this breakdown showed me was, as a lifelong Penn State fan, I'm going to miss number 11. Unbelievable.
There's always another one coming, though.
They got another number 11 coming. Yeah, they got another one coming. But Abdul Carter is a special football player. And I know the Giants were the 3rd worst team in football last year. But, and there's still plenty to do to rebuild that organization. But that D-line, man, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, that is one of the best D-lines that we have in football right there. So Abdul Carter, the new number 3 overall pick to the New York Giants.